Well, if they're saying your name or putting it up on the marquee, all pub is good pub, right? How about outside the Rialto Theater here in Raleigh as the Capitals are going to take on Game 4. They don't like Tom Wilson very much here, but that's okay. There's a look at it. All are welcome except Tom Wilson. That's all right. That means they know your name. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this edition of the Rink Report, brought to you by PenFed Credit Union. Great rates for everyone. He is Tarik El-Bashir. I am John Walton, and we are here in Raleigh at Lenovo Center and getting you ready for game number 4 between the Capitals and the Carolina Hurricanes. And in this one tonight, there is so much riding, I believe, on this game tonight. We said after game 1 and going into game 2 that it was a huge pivot point in the series because if you lose 2 home games, you're in trouble. And the Capitals were fine. And the Capitals have not lost back-to-back games in this postseason. And when they have had a subpar performance, thinking like Game 3 Montreal or the last game here, they have, as they have all season long, been able to rebound and be that team that figures out how to get it back on track very quickly. They will have to do that here tonight in Game 4.
John, they've been a very resilient group all season long, and I think there are a number of things that you can attribute that to. Number one, I feel like the collective hockey IQ of this group is pretty high. They're smart. They've got a really good, engaged coaching staff that understands when to push certain guys' buttons and when it's time to mix things up. And I think that's why they're able to bounce back quite easily. That said, this is the biggest game of the year. You have to get a split down here, in my opinion, if you want to advance. If you go back home and you've now got to win 3 in a row, it's going to be tough sledding. Especially given the fact that Capitals have had their struggles here in this building this year. Getting a win makes things a whole lot better. You don't have to win another one here. If you win this one, you can take care of business at home, even if the series were to go a full 7 games, getting home ice advantage back. So here's a couple of things about the lineup that we know, at least from, let's start with Carolina. Jordan Martinook, who left the game and did not return in Game 3. He skated this morning. He's good to go, according to Rod Brindamore. Jalen Chatfield is good to go as well. There are going to be some changes, we believe, for Washington. It certainly looks like from the play behind us, Ryan Leonard is going to get back into the lineup and replace Taylor Radish. Radish skating with the scratches, although Ryan Leonard's still out there right now, but skating with Dowd and Mangiapane and the guys that you would expect to be in the lineup. Right. And we may very well see, and we're not going to get it out of Spencer Carberry today, but there could be some changes in amongst the personnel who are playing in the top 6, but maybe not playing in the normal places. So a lot to keep an eye on as the warm-ups get going here just before 7 o'clock tonight. You know, like you said, reading between the lines, it does look like Ryan Leonard's going to get back in there because he's not skating with the scratches who stay out there for probably 20, 30 minutes after the players who are going to be in the lineup that night leave the ice. He brings some speed. He brings a little more feistiness. Hopefully the stage isn't too big for the young man, only 20 years old. The second round of the playoffs is a step up from the first round of the playoffs, which is a big step up from NCAA Division I. So I think he's comported himself well, but at the same time, I mean, this is big boy hockey. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. That said, it does feel like Carolina dodged a bullet with Martinook. He's a guy who can change the momentum of a game with a big hit. I feel like we saw that last game where he leveled Tom Wilson and things started kind of shifting there. The building got loud. So, look, it's all chips to the middle of the table for the Capitals tonight. It's not a must-win, but it's you better win. Special teams, we said it at the beginning of the series, and it is as true now as it was before the series started. Capitals have to win the special teams battle if they want to beat the Carolina Hurricanes. And right now, they are not. And going back, they're underwater, and very underwater in Game 3. 2 for 2 on the penalty, or 2 for 2 on the power play. Carolina was 0 for 2 if you're looking from a Washington perspective. And the Caps have not scored a power play goal on the road this playoff year, going back to Montreal. You got to be able to produce on the road. You got to be able to get it done on the penalty kill. The Capitals did not do either one of those things in Game 3. They must do better here in Game 4 tonight. Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, the power play is somewhere around 15%. The penalty kill is somewhere around 65%. That's not going to get it done when you are facing a team that has the best power play and the best penalty kill in these playoffs. Look, you and I were talking about this yesterday on the golf course. I think that
casual drop in.
I think that Marty Ferravari is missed more than maybe we suspected when we learned he was going to be out for the postseason. I was like, okay, top 4 D-man, that's going to hurt, but this team has depth. But I think we underestimated exactly how much Marty's speed and toughness and ability when shorthanded was going to matter. And that's why I feel like this PK has really struggled. It wasn't all that good against Montreal, and it hasn't been a whole lot better against the Hurricanes. Getting Protas back helped a lot, but I think we're starting to see right now how much 42 means to this team, especially when they're shorthanded.
John Carlson has the only power play goal for Washington in this series. It was a game winner that he scored in Game 2. And on the off day yesterday, he chatted with assembled media at the team hotel here in Raleigh.
We had a lot more chances. It felt better offensively. I think we, especially at the start of the game. And, I think looking through it, I think, we're obviously, we play them better when we have the lead or we are tied, and once they got that goal, it kind of spiraled away from us a little bit. And but I think a lot of good things to take from it, a lot of good things to learn and move on, and turn the page, and got a chance to get home ice back tomorrow night.
They're a good team defensively. They don't give up much, just like us. So yeah, when you get those chances, obviously that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to put it in, but you know that they're a big volume, shot volume team. They get their minutes in your own zone, so sometimes you have to be comfortable with just getting an opportunity, really big opportunity, every couple minutes or once or twice a period. But like I said, we're familiar with this. We've done it all year, and there's no panic on our team.
Looking at a little bit about that top six for Washington. And at the end of the game, in Game 3, we saw Tom Wilson get elevated to play with Ovechkin and Strome. And in my mind, as you look at what you are combating here in this series when you don't have last change, the Aho line, which made a change of its own, by the way, Seth Jarvis bumping up and playing on that top line instead of Jackson Blake. They switched places on the right side. But that line did very well in being able to generate chances, the Svechnikov goal and others. So I think Spencer Carberry would be loath to change anything with McMichael, Dubois, and Wilson, given the fact that their defensive responsibilities, McMichael's been terrific. But if you have enough faith in Mikey to be able to do it in other places,
he's been good.
Maybe we're going to see a little bit of a different paint job in the top six tonight.
Yeah, I feel like it is time to mix things up. And, we've talked so much about how role players, third and fourth line guys, can come up big for teams in the postseason. But as the playoffs move along, as you get into the middle of the second round, you really need your star players to start showing up and producing. And I don't feel like the guys, the top players have been playing poorly, but their production hasn't been in line with how much they mean to this team.
You got to finish.
Yeah, I'm looking at Dylan Strome. He's got an assist. Alex Ovechkin doesn't have a point. Pierre-Luc Dubois doesn't have a point.
Beauvillier was great in the first round. No points here.
Yeah, look, it's tight out there. There's not a whole lot of space. But that's like that in every series. Draisaitl's filling up the net. McDavid's playing really well. Rantanen has a couple of hat tricks. Other guys on other teams who are star players are producing, and I feel like it's time at this juncture in the postseason where some of the Capitals' big-name guys have to start producing.
And Alex Ovechkin certainly at the top of that list after scoring 4 goals in the Montreal series. Nothing, as you mentioned here. And thinking back to the first period, boy, did he have some chances. You convert that, then it's a whole different game. Maybe they win Game 3. If you come up with 2 goals on Anderson in that first period, that's an entirely different game. That's why those guys have to finish.
Absolutely. I think Alex Ovechkin actually had the highest expected goals after the first period. He had that chance in tight, then he had the redirection. Look, Anderson is playing, and we haven't talked about him yet, but Freddie Anderson is playing lights out right now, and I feel like as well as he's playing, I don't think the Capitals are doing enough to disrupt him and to really kind of get into his kitchen and maybe make things hard on him, because the scouting report says big goaltender, blocks a lot of shots because he's so large and plays the angles so well and is so athletic for his size. That said, those big guys, they can kick pucks around a little bit in front of them, and it's sometimes hard for them to quickly.
He does.
Yeah, he absolutely does. He leaves loose change around. You have to get to those second opportunities and start burying them. And, I think I said before this series began, I felt like this series was going to be determined by special teams, and right now the Caps are getting woefully outplayed in that area, and also the blue paint in front of both of the nets. And right now, in front of Freddie Anderson, the Caps just aren't doing enough.
No, they're not. And to be able to get those greasy goals, second chances, and talking about guys with offense, I mean, Brandon Duhaime, you don't necessarily think of as a big offensive guy, but he was in the Montreal series at the end. He ends up with 3 goals in 2 games, and you'd like to think that a guy like that line with Dowd, and if it's Beauvillier again, if it's the same trio, to be able to go to the front of the net, that to me is a place to look for offense. Not that you're going to expect them to win the game for you necessarily, but be able to get in and make a difference against. Listen, I thought Chatfield and Orlov got beat up pretty good in that first period.
Yeah, they did.
To their credit, they rebounded in the final 40 minutes, and that's what good players do, and they certainly did that. But you have to pressure their D, and no better line than that for me. I mean, yeah, you need it from a lot of different places, but if you can find a way to get a Dowd line going and just chip in with something with the grease variety, right? Get the puck on net,
Absolutely.
Go through, battle. Duhaime's terrific at that. Dowd's terrific at that. Beauvillier had a big first round. You got to be able to get it there.
So essentially, we're saying we just need production from somewhere.
Somewhere. Yeah.
I mean, you can't win a game with no goals. I mean, look, the top guys. That's
have analysis.
Hashtag analysis. The top guys have to produce, but yeah, I would like to see that fourth line, really the third line, also chip in the way they did so well in that Montreal series. Just in general, I feel like this Capitals team last game showed everyone in those first 25-ish minutes of the game that they can skate with these guys. Here in this building, they can put this team on its heels. What they have to do is they have to replicate that as things maybe go sideways. Maybe there's 3-4 shifts that get away from you. They get a 1-0 lead. The Capitals are a very deep, good hockey team. They have come back actually more than anyone in the
25 times
in the entire league in the regular season. I know it's different. Space is harder to come by in the postseason, but they've got that belief. They need to find a way to continue that surge that they had at the start of the game last game. They have to continue that for 60 minutes. Even 55 minutes, and you win that game. So I'm looking for another strong start from the Capitals, but they've got to bury and make these guys, make this fan base, hush them up a little bit, make the Hurricanes start going, okay, well, this might be another long night, because, again, the Capitals can beat this team.
Just before we've got in a moment here Anthony Beauvillier with Katie downstairs, but just thinking about what we said here 2 nights ago or 2 days ago when we were doing the show about what happened 2 nights ago.
Yep.
This place going to get loud, going to get crazy, and in the first period it wasn't.
Yeah.
It went from anthem time to falling off the table, and that is imperative because they start feeding off what goes on in here, and then you saw what happened in the last 40 minutes. You are not going to hold the Carolina Hurricanes at bay for 60 minutes. It's not possible. It's not possible for them to hold Washington at bay for 60 minutes either. That's not the way hockey works. But you've got to be able to establish, I think tonight, as much as Spencer Carberry talked yesterday about, hey, if we don't get the first goal, that's fine because, we come back, and that's true. But I think from a mental feel-good perspective for getting this quieted down, you need to be able to get a couple of pucks in early time.
Also, from an X's and O's standpoint, when you're playing a team like the Hurricanes that, their signature, their MO is pressure, you go up a goal, you maybe go up 2 goals, and now they have to get out of their structure. They have to get away from what makes them so special because now they got to start cheating. They got to start getting above the puck. They got to start looking to create some offense. I mean, this Hurricanes team, when they're down a goal or 2, they look totally different than when they're up a goal or 2.
A little bit ago, Anthony Beauvillier, one of the aforementioned from Line 4, that maybe a little bit that they can find offensively tonight. Chatting with our Katie Florio here in Raleigh after the morning skate.
Well, Anthony, thank you for joining us on Rink Report today ahead of what is probably the biggest game this team has played in the postseason so far. How do you all do a better job of sustaining what was a very good first period and strong start last game?
Yeah, I think we just gotta, this game could have took a whole different turn last game, but just the way it is, I think we got to stick with what has made us successful in the past, and obviously everyone's going to be their best tonight. It's like you said, their biggest game of the year, and we'll make sure to be ready.
Production-wise, you had a very strong start to the postseason. What was the key for your individual success in setting that tone early for yourself?
Yeah, I think just honestly being hungry on pucks and hungry to win battles, and get to the net. I think that was key, and that's something I'll be looking to do tonight as well.
come into this team late but gel right away, and then obviously with the Protus injury, you've kind of changed lines a little bit. What's been your key to reading off of whoever you're paired with, whatever you're placed with?
Yeah, I think it happens so much during the year where you change lines or there's different combinations or whatsoever. So that's why we have a system. That's why we got to be predictable to one another. All 5 guys on the ice, and I'm comfortable playing with anybody. And obviously playing with Dowder and Dewey. It's fun. I mean, we're two hungry guys on pucks and very tenacious. So it's just got to try to follow what they do.
This Carolina team is a team that is on you constantly, backed by good goaltending as well. How do you maybe wear them down? A team that is a lot harder to wear down than most teams, especially as their play seems to get stronger as the game goes on.
Yeah, I think just got to match that intensity, match that aggressiveness. I think that's when we're at our best. That's when we, when we forecheck well, we break out the puck well. I think that's our DNA, and that's what we have to do against a team like that.
Well, this Washington team has been great at bouncing back all season long, trying to do that again here tonight. And so many guys have credited that to the leadership in this locker room. Why do you think that is the case?
Experience a little bit, leadership, and obviously a desire to win. I think the desire to win in this room is really high, and everyone is pulling for one another. And it's a special group, so I think, like I said, everyone's going to have their best effort tonight, and everyone's going to be pulling for one another.
Well, Anthony, thank you for your time, and good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Great stuff with Katie and Anthony Beauvillier there as the Capitals have gotten to this point in the series and now in need of a win that could get them home ice back at the split in Raleigh and make this into a best-of-3 that would start back Thursday night at Capital One Arena. Logan Thompson obviously is going to be a big focal point. And one of the things about his season that has made him as good as he has been, he's lost some games, but it's usually the battle and the competitive fire that he brings night in and night out, really, but especially after a loss. Spencer Carberry has talked a lot about, even in this series, about that competitive spirit that he brings. After giving up 4 goals on 28, you got to figure that he's going to be more than ready to come back and show that, hey, listen, Freddie Anderson's been good, but you know what? I have been too. And he's going to want to get this thing square and get the upper hand, really, because if the Caps get home ice back, they know they don't have to win here again.
Hey, look, he's been one of the best goalies in the tournament to this point. I would say there was at least one goal last game that he probably wants to get back. That second goal, short side, looked like his glove might have got caught on his jersey or his pad as he went down to the butterfly. You're right. He bounces back from bad goals. He bounces back from performances that he didn't like. And he bounces back from losses even when he played well. He is, dare I say it, a gamer. I mean, he really is just one of the most competitive people. And I'll tell you this. I was down at the door where the players come on and off the ice for the morning skate. I don't know what annoyed him, but he came off in not a great mood. I mean, he was fired up. And I feel like, that is, again, that competitiveness. If something can upset you to the point whether he didn't like the way he played or what happened, he was dialed and engaged, and that was like game mode, LT, at the morning skate. I think that bodes well for the Capitals.
Let's talk just a little bit here about playoff emotion, whether you are a player, whether you are a broadcaster, if you are a fan. We feel the same things that you do, and so do they, and the ebbs and flows, we'll call it, of playoff hockey. Sure. You win game 2, this is fantastic, everything's great. You lose game 3, oh my God, everything's terrible. Right. It is the madness that is the Stanley Cup playoffs, where in one game, tell the Vegas Golden Knights what 0.4 of a second can make. You were going to be down 3-0, and now here you are back in the series. The Toronto Maple Leafs are blowing the doors off Florida and look great up 2-0, and it looks like they're going to win in game 3, and they don't. And they get to game 4, and they don't. And now it's square, and now nobody's planning parade routes in Toronto anymore because, oh my God, that is what we do here. So as you watch and as you view, we do the same thing. Because if you win tonight, you're going to feel great because you're going to say home ice best. But for these guys, the managing of emotions, and Pierre-Luc Dubois talked a little bit about it. It is a difficult thing even from a player perspective because you want to win so badly. And you know who else does? The Carolina Hurricanes want to win that badly too. So when you've got these two forces of two really good hockey teams, you're going to have ups and downs, and being able to stay focused in the moment. And I honestly believe that's why the Capitals, and think about it, how many times they have rebounded to win after losing a game. Yeah. They don't worry about what happened 2 days ago.
Right.
They worry about what happened today. That's credit to this coaching staff, by the way, and the players within the room. But that's what I expect here tonight. They're going to reload. I think they're going to be fine tonight.
You know, John, they have a short memory, and I think that is the key to bouncing back the way the Capitals have all season. We talked about it at the top of the show. They are a resilient bunch. I also feel like they lean on their veterans as much as any team in this league. And fortunately for them, they've got a group of leaders that just have a low pulse rate. Alex Ovechkin, takes a lot to get him flustered. John Carlson, he's so laid back, he's almost horizontal sometimes. And that is outstanding. I mean, that is a big thing, managing emotions, managing the ups and downs of the postseason. Tom Wilson, fiery on the ice. When he comes in the room, he's pretty calm. Nick Dowd, another guy, fire on the ice, very measured and calm in the room, and I feel like the younger guys can sense that calm. And there was something in Pierre-Luc Dubois' interview yesterday, and you mentioned it. He used the words "no panic" 3 separate times, and I believe him. I'm around this team. You're around this team. They are not freaking out right now. They are down in a series and facing a big game, but they are confident in their system, in their processes, and they know that they are capable of coming up with the type of performance that they need tonight to make this series even.
And confident in coaching decisions that have been made throughout the year, and some of those adjustments we speculated on that we might see tonight here in Game 4. Don't think you're going to hear a lot of detail on that from head coach Spencer Carberry, but you will get some insight. We talked a little bit about Ryan Leonard, too. He was asked about that just a short time ago here at Lenovo Center.
Absolutely. Anytime a young player gets to take a step back, clear his mind, watch an NHL game, I believe it's helpful, even though sometimes they would disagree with that.
Do you feel like you guys have tested Anderson enough through the first 3 games?
Nope. But I also think it's been tight for both teams, so there's not a lot either way. I think there's, at certain points of the series, we've done a good job of creating some good looks, some high danger opportunities. But I will say this, like I said, is it's been tough sledding both ways, so it's going to be one of those series where it's just hard to generate high danger quality looks. And that's, we just have to try to create more and try to make it more difficult on him with those looks, second looks, third looks, fourth looks, and a few more a game. And that's when the margins are this thin, it's only a couple more a game. You don't need to change your whole game plan and go from 10 high danger chances to 20. It's, can you go from 10 to 13, 3 more, and that could be the difference in a game.
What did you make of your group's energy and kind of vibe this morning?
I thought it was good. I think it's pretty businesslike, and guys understand the importance of tonight and the significance of tonight. And so felt good about the group.
A lot of times when a team pressures, if they pressure up, right, you want to get it behind them, work from low. It seems like they pressure wherever the puck is, right? I mean, so what's the adjustment then in terms of to break down that pressure if you can?
So for me, the puck has to move quickly. So if you hold on to it too long, or you're not able to move it before they set their pressure, so puck movement being quick, and then you've got to be ready individually. You're going to get closed on quickly, so you better have a plan. So that's brain first, and then your legs. You've got to be ready to skate, turn, get out of Brent Burns, Chatfield, Slav, and those guys. When they close on you, you better have a plan, and you better do it quickly.
And that's what you saw a little bit more of in the first period and a half of Game 3?
Yeah, and I think we had some good – I mean, I've kind of said it all series long, is you're going to get a few opportunities. Like, we have a couple, like, just a tick away 2-on-1s where we're just not able to execute. Manch had one. Radish has one. He almost gets it from John Carlson. It just goes just too far in front of him. Obviously, the breakaway early in the game, the 2-on-1. We're just a tick away in some of those situations. To the earlier question about high danger opportunities, if we can convert on 2-3 of those or get really good looks on them, that all of a sudden becomes a huge part of the game.
So as we get you ready for tonight's Game 4, and obviously so much riding on the line, but Tarik, what's one thing that you are looking for this evening that the Capitals must do to be able to get this thing level, get home ice, and get this thing back home with 2 home games still left in the bank.
21 shots on that last game. That ain't it. I want to see more volume. I want to see better quality, and I want to see the Capitals get to the net and do more to disrupt Freddie Anderson. I'm not saying run into him, but I'm saying make him uncomfortable. When this team was scoring all those goals in the regular season before their little dip at the end of the year, one thing that was a constant was screening the goaltender. And I don't mean like being off the side waving your stick. Tom Wilson would be directly in front, and there might even be a second high screen there. If you can take away a goaltender's eyes, that makes such a difference. Even if that puck doesn't hit the goalie and squirt out, it might hit Tom Wilson and squirt out, and then Chychrun can come down from his spot and bang in that second opportunity. They have to do something to generate more high-danger chances, and then when they get those high-danger chances, they got to bury them.
Yeah, maybe even getting some pucks in from the defenseman as a whole to be able to create some of those second chances. Big thing for me tonight is penalty kill has to have their biggest game of the year. It has been a struggle, and there may be some reasons. It's tough. It's the playoffs. Plays are made. Sometimes you got to tip your cap to the opponent, but not being able their penalty kill right now is under 50% for the playoffs going back to the Montreal series.
Yeah.
They gave up 5 to Montreal. This has not been 2-on-2 chances here. Penalty kill must regroup, must be better, because Carolina's going to get some chances tonight. Must be a focal point here. The special teams battle is so vital to trying to get this thing back all even. Hopefully that goes well tonight. Before we go, a big shout out not only to our crew here with Monumental and with Bill and Alan and Greg and our whole crew here, but for the folks who are in our room, the equipment guys. They are the lifeblood of any organization, but never more so than this morning. Because I'm telling you, we get up pretty early.
John.
And you know who's up ahead of us? Them. And you know why? Because in this building, last night, Pearl Jam was here. And they had to wait until they had to convert for the concert. They had to evacuate the room because apparently Eddie Vedder needed a lot of space, and they couldn't they couldn't have the locker room. They couldn't just leave the gear. They had to evacuate all the gear, put it into storage, bring it all back, and be able to get up here. Those guys were leaving a hotel before 7 a.m. this morning to make sure that the room is ready for the guys. That is earlier than normal, but nobody works harder than Brock and Woody and Cam and all those guys. Dave, fantastic job by all involved getting this team ready to go tonight.
I thought I was up early. Around 6:15, I was taking the elevator down to go get a coffee. And Craig Leidig was in his sport coat and bag over his shoulder. I was like, hey, where are you going? He goes, we got to set up the room again.
Yeah,
it's
from
unbelievable.
scratch.
It's unbelievable what they go through.
Yeah, this was a tough trip for those guys, and a big tip of the cap to them. We've got pregame coverage coming up here on Monumental Sports Network with our crew prior to the 7 o'clock game tonight. Big going there at 6, and of course postgame as well. Hopefully talking about a Capitals victory. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of the Rink Report, brought to you by PenFed Credit Union. Great rates for everyone.